Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's Saturday the 11th of July 2026 and the time is 12:57 p.m. Shabbat Shalom if you happen to be of the Jewish cultural motif, and happy Saturday to everyone else. Happy Saturn's Day. So it's a beautiful day. I've put my little birdie boys outside and they're very happy and contentedly destroying their little wooden swing with their beaks, gnawing away at it, but it's there for them to gnaw at and chew and destroy, so I don't really mind too much. It's amazing how much damage that little one can do in a short space of time with his little beak. Little cockatiel bow. So but you know, it tells me that they're contented and happy, and there's not a breath of wind, and it's not all that warm really, but it's warm enough out here in the sunshine. So I have to keep an eye on Bo, because as soon as the temperature starts to drop I have to rush them inside and put the heater on, but I think it's warm enough for them today. It's just so absolutely stunning day. Hey, excuse me, Kermie, if you do that, you have to go back in the house. No fighting with Bobo. No. Bad bird. Bad bird. He sings a song of victory like a true Boadicea budgie. Berserker Boadicea budgie, aren't you? She says, I'm just playing, Mama T, don't freak out. Yes, well, I've got to keep an eye on you and get a little bit too rambunctious. But yeah, they're very happy out in the garden. Bo is anyway. What's the turkey doing, Kermie? Is he making a mound? He's adding to last year's mound that I was starting to collect the compost, and he's now piled back on top of it, so I can forget about that for another year, preparing his mound for his babies. Right, so let us begin reading the Essential Spike Milligan. We're still in chapter 1, tearing it up. How long does that go for, that chapter? It's quite a long chapter, but they're all little individual stories, so it doesn't really matter too much as to where I decide to break it up. Oh, Kookaburra's just caught a great big worm, or is it a grasshopper? It's a very happy bird too. He dropped it without eating it. You need to eat that thing, otherwise it'll eat my garden. You're supposed to help with the ecosystem, Cookie. Honestly, nobody gave him that memo. Right. The turkeys are chasing each other across my neighbour Timsa's roof. Right, let us begin. We're at the top of page 32 of chapter 1, tearing it up. Monty, his part in my victory, 1976, 22nd of May. The third volume of Milligan's War Memoirs covers a period from the fall of Tunis to the embarkation for the Salerno landings. Milligan describes this period as playing at soldiers. The book was nearly lost when he left the entire manuscript in a taxi, but fortunately the driver, a Mr. Moy, returned it to the publisher with no request for a reward. Wasn't that kind? Don't tend to get paid very much for books anyway initially, not until you're famous and have sold bestsellers and stuff and nonsense like that. Carthage. 22nd, 23rd and 24th of May. Our long weekend leave was about to start. Friday till Monday. Where to spend it? Edgington, I said, as I shaved with a 1,000-year-old blade, my face a sea of cuts. All my born days I've wanted to see the ruins of Carthage. Would be quite a sight to see, I would think. I think you've only got a pint of blood left, says Edgington. I must hurry. What's a Carthage? Said Doug Kidgell. A great archaeological site. Oh, said Kidgell. Why are we going? You got friends there? It's to improve my education. Can't we go to the pictures, said Kidgell. There's Bing Crosby in The Road to Bali in Tunis. That evening, excited as schoolboys, we drove off along the Tunis-Bizerta road. It was as though the war didn't exist. Eventually, we pull up on a sandy beach for the night. There was no moon, but the sky was a pincushion of stars. Great swathes of astral light blinked at us across space. We made a fire, glowing scarlet and cobalt dark black darkness, showers of popping sparks jettisoning into the night air. Tins of steak and kidney pud were in boiling water. Excuse me. I hate kidney. The English and their love of offal. Tins of steak and kidney pud were in boiling water with small bubbles rising to the surface. Ready soon, said Doug, poking the fire. The only poke he would have for a long time. Fielders and Edgington were making up their beds in the lorry. Edgington singing while Fielders spoke to himself. It was interesting to hear. A cigarette that bears lipstick traces. I think I'll put 3 blankets on top. An airline ticket to romantic places. It's going to get chilly later. A fairgrounds painted swings. Better keep my socks on tonight. Are these foolish things? Where's that bloody pillow? Remind me of you. Kidgell in the driving cab is finishing off an I love you forever letter. You don't write many, Milligan. I let 'em all worry. What about your folks? Well, they worry about me all the time. Before the war, they worried if I went to the toilet. Even if I was in the garden, they'd shout out, "You all right, son?" They'd wake me up in the middle of the night and say, "Are you all right?" They're natural worriers. My father would wake up at 3 in the morning and worry about his job, and my mother would worry about him worrying about his job. They sound a mite strange, mate. A mite? They're insane. Every night when my father comes home from work, he gets his pistol from under the stairs, then shouts, "Hitler, if you're in this house, come out with your hands up." Let me tell you, Kidgell, I'm bloody worried about them. We sat around the fire, opening the tins with a jackknife. Army cooks don't like tinned food, says Kidgell. Why not? They can't sod it up in tins. They like fresh stuff they can burn the Jesus out of. The motto of the Army Catering Corps is, help wipe the smile off a soldier's face. Got him, said a triumphant Edgington, smashing a mosquito on his wrist, sending his marmalade pudding flying into the fire. Bugger, he said, trying to retrieve it with a stick. In a food frenzy, he dashes to the lorry, returns at speed with rifle and bayonet. A heroic sight as he lunged time and time again to retrieve the blackened duff. "Don't forget, thrust, turn, withdraw," said Kidjo. "Gentlemen, a surprise." I produced a small bottle of schnapps. It fell off the back of a Major Chater Jack. "That is a spoil of war," said Edgington, striking a dramatic finger-pointing pose. "Well, it's not going to spoil mine," I said, pouring out the white liquid. Alf sipped and grasped his throat. "Christ, if they drink this, they are the master race." It was fiery stuff. "It'll kill us," said Edgington. He spat a mouthful on the fire. It exploded in a sheet of flame. "See, when you go to the bog, for Christ's sake, don't strike a match." We mellowed. Harry got hiccups. Reminds me of the time my friend Gail got a hole in his stomach from the underproofed Schlivovitzer, which is cherry brandy, pretty much the same stuff as schnapps, but, Serbian style, and nearly killed her, actually. It was quite serious. She was actually quite ill. Thanks, Pedrag. Things you do for love, the things you do for love. I was totally unaffected, but it's probably because she's English and I'm part German. My stomach might have been a little bit stronger. That or all the psych meds I was on at the time blocked everything. Anywho, she actually got quite ill. She was quite frightened that she'd damaged her liver on one little shot. Well, anyway, we never drank Pedro's father's Schlivovitzer again, I can assure you. If you're going to make, sly grog, at least bloody learn how to proof it properly. How do you proof it? I have no idea. I thought about buying a still at one time out of curiosity and make my own, liqueurs and nice yummy things, but I'm not really much of a drinker, so there wasn't really a lot of point, was there? And you can do things like you can buy cheap vodka or brandy and, like I just gave these lovely kumquats away to my friends Robin and Peter, because they love eating them, fresh and raw. But you can actually slice them up and macerate them in brandy, which makes a nice kumquat flavoured brandy. I've never tried it. Might do that one day. But I'm not, like I say, it's how often would I drink this stuff? I must say my daughter Crystal made me a delicious limoncello one year, and it was so lovely that the following year I actually made some for myself by my, from a recipe on, I don't know where I got the recipe, but on the internet somehow. And I tell you what, that was a nice little drop, and it lasted a long time in the fridge because I just have a little tipple every now and then when I felt like something. That was very nice, made from my own limes in my own garden. Was it limes I made it with, or lemons? No, it's limoncello, isn't it? Yeah, I think I had to make it with lemons. But yes, I was looking at ways to use up my lovely limes as well, which is covered in a kind of a black mould. I'm going to have to, I don't like spraying the trees, but I think I might actually have to spray that mouldy fungus off it. Then it might just be the winter of its discontent, and if I leave it alone it might sort itself out. Sometimes they do that, have their own way of sorting themselves out, trees. What you doing, little Bo? I gave him a banksia flower and he's nibbling at the little stamens, or I don't know what you call them actually. Spiky things coming off the banksia. Do you want to see it? Let's just turn you around. Here we go. What you doing, sexy boy? What you doing? You playing? Right. You have a remarkably good life, little birdies. A remarkably good life. Very fortunate birdies indeed. Yes, you are. You're more fortunate even than Charlie was because you've got better cages. Yes. Right, where were we? Oh, they were choking on the German schnapps. We mellowed. Harry got hiccups. Edge. I wonder what's going to happen to us next. He didn't have long to wait for the answer. A spark shot out of the fire and burnt him. Ouch. I really abhor camping. Stupid things like that always happen to me too. We sat close to the fire. The smoke kept the mozzies away. An occasional brave one would die underhand as it landed. Silly sods. I wouldn't risk my life to pass on malaria, said Phildis. I think I'll turn in. Through the night, a 3-ton lorry with a mosquito net across the back was home to 4 lads from London who slept sounder and safer than those in bomb-ridden London. It seemed all wrong, but it was all right by me. A letter told of my eccentric father's career as a captain. He had decided that the RAOC depot at Reigate was wide open to paratroops. He took it upon himself to make a lifelike raid on the depot. He briefed a dozen NCOs. They chose midday. The officers are in the mess having a pre-lunch piss-up. The men are queuing in the mess hall. Suddenly the cookhouse staff are surrounded by men with black faces and Tommy guns. Their leader is speaking in a strange patois. "Hands up, schnell, get against that bleeding wall, Englander, please." In the officers' mess from behind the bar arose 5 men with blackened faces, one wearing a German helmet and holding a machine pistol. "Last orders, plus und hands up." It was my father. The officers were then locked in an office where it was simple to phone police. A constable arrived and my father then explained the whole scheme. The colonel said, "You're a bloody fool," and had him posted to RAOC Elstree. We were up at first light and away through Tunis on the Carthage road. "Let's play some party games," I said. "I make up the first line and you have to rhyme the next." There was a young gunner called Harry, Kidgel, told the MO he wanted to marry, Edge. The MO said no, Alf. "Is it Bexhill Flow?" Me. He said no, it's an old Calcutta carry. The blue Mediterranean flanked the road. We were as free as we would ever be in our lives. We pulled up at a lonely beach, plunged into the azure waters. With Edgington as baseman, we repeatedly tried balancing on each other. We got as far as 3, then collapsed with great artificial screams and dramatic plunges into the briny. One of us would submerge and sing a song, and from the rising bubbles you had to guess what tune it was. Life was golden, and we were the assayers. Evening. We made camp by a sandy verge. We ate and talked. At 9:30 we bedded down. Good nights were exchanged. At midnight we were still talking. "This is marvellous, isn't it?" says Edgington. "I don't like going to sleep, 'cause I'll miss it." Doug. "Holidays in Africa. Core." Edge. "You gone quiet, Al?" Al. "I was thinking of Lily." Me. "You dirty little devil. Sleep with your hands on top of the blankets." Al. "You don't know what true love is, Milligan. There's too many birds in your life." Me. "I spread my investments. Keep as many on the boil as you can. I've got 7 going for me back in England. See, there's..." Edge. "Look out, he's going to have a roll call." Me. "There's Beryl, Marie, Kay, Ivy, Madge, Betty, Dot, Doris." Doug. "Company, stand at ease." Al. "Don't they ever find out about each other?" Me. "I keep the door locked." Edge. "You're evil, Milligan. With all that shagging, it's going to drop off one day." Doug. "Believe me, it won't half make a noise when it hits the ground." It's true, isn't it? Oh, you have to laugh. We awoke at first light and played Who's Going to Make the Tea? By 9:10, no one had given in. Finally, Edge arises, bent double, bladder bursting. "I'll make it." "He'll only just make it," I thought. We heard him tinkering about outside. He broke into a little tune. "Don't blame me for falling in love with you. I'm under your spell, and how can I help it? Don't blame..." Bugger! How's he going to rhyme that, I thought. He'd burnt himself. With Edgington, striking a match could lead to anything. Edgington tying a bootlace could end up with a broken arm. Edgington cutting his toenails could mean an amputated leg. Come and get it. We got it. Fried eggs and sand. It was just after 10 a.m. when Doug put the lorry in gear and started following the signs. "What happened at the Carthage?" said Doug, who was still puzzled. "It was a great naval power. Had a war with Rome. I forget the score. The Romans razed the city and ploughed the ground with salt." "How did you know all that?" "Chambers' Encyclopedia," I said. "As a kid I loved reading. Given a chance, I could have been a great scholar, even university." "You could have been a great university?" "Everyone ought to get a university education," said Al. "I reckon if Harry had been through a university, he might be writing concertos instead of burning himself making the tea." "I think he'd burn himself writing a concerto." "Chambers' Encyclopedia," said Harry. "I thought that was the history of piss-pots." Without warning, Kidgel burst into song. "Love, let me taste the wine from your lips," and then went into hysterical laughter. "He's going off his nut," said Edgington. "It happens to short asses like him." I guess it does, since I'm still in therapy after 30 years. I had very good reasons for going off my nut, though. Doug frowned, smiled and grimaced as only a facial cripple could. Short-assed men are well known for their power. Take Nelson. You're not, said Fielders querulously. You're not lumping yourself in his class. A smile played across Kidgel's face. Answer, answer, shouted Edgington, banging his fist on the dashboard and cutting his finger. Yes, said Kidgel, I do. I have the same short-assed qualifications as him. It's just that I never had the same chances. Al turned and looked at Kidgel. What are you staring at? He giggled. Christ, chuckled Al. You in charge of the HMS Victory? How do you know that inside me there isn't a brilliant naval tactician? Say, I said, and I'll look for him. Personally, you look more like a half Nelson, said Edgington. All right. You think what you want. I still say short asses have a greater power over their fellow men by reason that they're nearer to the ground and haven't got so far to fall. That baffled the lot of us, and we gave up. Edgington was bending his fingers over each other to make crab claws. I learned this as a nipper, he said. We set off again, sucking our ration of boiled sweets. We were doing 15 miles an hour. At that speed, you could say... Wait a minute, Mr. Page. No, I did not. At that speed, you could say, look at that. But at modern speeds, it's, did you see that? Finally, Carthage. We parked by a clump of trees and walked to the ruins of the amphitheatre. It was almost featureless now. What a sight it must have presented, clad in marble, as high as El Jem, the sun of Africa, reflecting its white surface, the roar of crowds, or the blood of the mangled remains, like Celtic versus Rangers. Is this it? Said Doug. Yes. This is what I missed Bing Crosby on the road to Bali for. It's terrible. It's like Catford. 1 minute you're allying yourself with Nelson, and when you see history you say it's Catford? You short ass. I only brought you here because the ruins were low enough for you to see over. Well, says Kidgel, I still say a Carthage is not as good as Bing Crosby in the road to Bali. We brewed our tea on the floor of the arena. It was hard to believe blood spilled here 2,000 years ago. We upped anchors and drove on. Finally, Doug picked a spot adjacent to a heavily bombed French maritime repair docks. Ah, says Kidgel, this looks more like Carthage. He backed the truck under a large tree. A small group of Arabs with 3 donkeys and a camel are passing towards Tunis. They sell us oranges, eggs, dates, and things that look and taste like pistachio nuts, mainly because they were. After a day of swimming, we are in bed smoking and talking. Are we still filming, people of Earth? Are we even still here? It appears to be that we're still filming. Sorry about that, I didn't realise it was so close to the little gaps in the slats of the table. After a day of swimming, we are in bed smoking and talking. Got to be back by midday tomorrow. Sod it, said Doug regretfully. Good night, lads, yawned Edgington. Steady, I said. You haven't had an accident for an hour. The 101 Best and Only Limericks of Spike Milligan, 1982. A family man. A family man from Siberia, as a father, was very inferior, but one operation revised the situation, and now he's a mother superior. Goodbye Soldier, 1986. Graz. Maria Antoinetta Fontana, aka Tony, was Milligan's first serious girlfriend. The two met in Naples in June 1946, and the ensuing romance occupies most of Goodbye Soldier. Next morning, I'm still discharging both ends. Wrapped in a blanket doused with Aspros, I board the Charabong. "How you feel, Terry?" says Tony. "Terrible." I semi-doze all the way to Graz, showing no interest in food or drink. When we arrive in Graz, I hurriedly book in and make for my room. It's a lovely hotel with double glazing and double doors to the room, so it's very quiet except for the noise of me going both ends. I take a hot bath and take to my sick bed. I get visits from everyone. "Do I need a doctor?" I say, "No." "A mortician?" "Will I be doing the show tomorrow?" "Not bloody likely." "Bornheim will have to take my place on the squeeze box." I am delirious. Tony visits me and tells me she loves me. That's no bloody good. I love her too, but I've still got the shits. Can she hurry and leave the room? Something explosive is coming on. I fall into a deep sleep. I awake in the wee hours to do a wee. I'm dripping with sweat. What's the time? 3 a.m. I take a swig of my half bottle of whiskey. When I awake in the morning, I seem to have broken the back of it. It feels as if I've also broken its legs and arms. 24 hours had passed away, but I hadn't. In 2 days, I'm back to my normal, healthy, skinny self. How did the act go with Bornheim deputising for me? It was great. Curses. So I rejoined the fold. The show is at the Theatre Habsburg, a wonderful, small, intimate theatre, one mass of gilded carvings of cherubim. This night, the trio get rapturous applause from a mixed audience of Austrians and soldiers. Hall is stunned. "Bloody hell," he said. "We weren't that good." "Rubbish," says Mulgrew. "They weren't good enough." Dinner that night was a treat. First food for 48 hours. It's Austrian-Irish stew. Bill Hall tells a waitress that his meat is very tough. She calls the chef a large kraut. He asks what's wrong. "This meat is tough." "Oh," says the kraut, "you are the only one complaining." "That's 'cause I've got all the hard bits, mate." "It's the luck of the draw," says the kraut, who takes it away. The waitress returns with a second portion. "Yes, this is better," says Hall. The excitement is unbearable. "Who are you singing to, little Bo?" Getting very excited here too. I've got a tawny frog mouth up in that yellow flowering tree. I don't know what kind of tree it is. But he was there before, so I don't know if that's upsetting him. We've got kookaburras flying around. They were here before as well. Who rattled your cage, Bo? Getting all excited. Right. I'm convalescing, so I have an early to bed. I'm reading Elizabeth Gaskell's The Life of Charlotte Bronte. First, I'm delighted to find that the father was Irish. The interesting figure in the story is Branwell Bronte, the piss artist. He's amazing. He writes reams of poetry, can paint, and also write with both hands at once. How's that for starters? Yet he is the failure of the family. My eyes are getting heavy. I lay the book aside and sleep peacefully until the morning when there's a bird-like tapping at my door. It's morning fresh Tony. She kisses my eyes. You're very lazy, hurry up. Breakfast nearly finished. She will see me after breakfast in the hall. We go for a nice walk. It's cold but sunny. We're quite high up. I have a quick shit shave and shampoo. I just make breakfast. I ask the waiter if I can have a boiled egg and toast. He looks at his watch. Is he going to time it? With an expression on his face as though his balls are being crushed in a vice, he says, "Okay." Tony is waiting in the foyer. She is wearing a tweed coat with a fur collar and looks very pretty. We start our walk by strolling along the banks of the river Muir. Muir? How did it get a name like that? Our walk is lined with silver birch trees. We cross the Muir Bridge and I wonder how it got that name, Muir. Through large iron gates into a park built on the side of a hill called Der Muirgarten, and I wonder how it got that name, Muir. We walk up a slight gradient flanked by rose beds. It was then we did what must be timeless in the calendar of lovers. We carved our names on a tree inside a heart. We carved our hearts on a tree in Graz, and the hands of the clock stood still. Ah, it's very romantic, isn't it? I never carved my name in a tree with a lover. Don't like mutilating trees. It's romantic, but it's not all that friendly to the tree when you think about it. Anywho, Tony has found 2 heart-shaped leaves, stitched them together with a twig and scratched "I love you, Terry" on them. They still lie crumbling in the leaves of my diary. Ah, yesterday. Where did you go? I lean over and pick a rose only to get a shout, "Oi, nicht gut," from a gardener. We climb higher to a lookout platform overlooking the Muir. How did it get that name? From here we walk into the Fabelstrasse, the Bond Street of Graz. As we cross the Moor Bridge, each of us tosses a coin into the river. "That mean we come back," said Tony. We never did. We never will. We window gazed. Why are women transfixed by jewellers, handbag and shoe shops? The moment Tony stops at a jeweller's, I feel that I should buy her a trinket. "Isn't that beautiful?" she says, pointing to something like the crown jewels, priced thousands of shillings. Austrian shillings. SCHILLINGS. "Yes," I said weakly, knowing that as I stood my entire worldly value included ragged underwear, was £90. The torture doesn't stop there. She points. Oh, look, Terry! A fur coat valued at millions of shillings. Yes, I say weakly, feeling like Scrooge. What lovely handbag, she enthuses. Yes, I say. Don't weaken, Milligan. As long as you can say yes, you're safe from bankruptcy. Look, Tony, isn't that beautiful, I say, pointing to a small bar of chocolate for 50 groschen. Mer, how did it get that name? So nibbling 50 groschen chocolate, we walk back to the hotel. During that night's show, Fulvio Pazzaglia and Tiola Silenzi have a row. Trained singers, their voices projecting, can be heard on the stage. She empties a jug of red wine over Fulvio and his nice white jacket. Hurriedly, he borrows one that is miles too big. And then when he appears on stage, he looks like an amputee. On the way back in the charabanc, the row continues. She does all the shouting. He sits meekly in silence. It's something to do with money. She spends it, and he objects when he can get a word in. Oh, hello. Little butcher bird is here. We'll just pause while we listen to his song. Oi, I'm doing all the singing for you, you lazy bird. Well, it started off with such promise, didn't it? He only sings if I give him meat. Story of my life. We all sit in silence listening to the tirade. It is all very entertaining. And when she finally finishes, Bill Hall starts up a round of applause, shouting, "Bravo! Encore!" She is beside herself with anger. Where did my little mate go? I'm actually quite fond of that bird, all jokes aside. Where have you gone, butcher bird? He used to come and visit me more regularly. He seems to be a bit aloof drama these days. I wonder why. Probably because I didn't feed him for a while. It was one unforgettable night in Graz that Tony and I consummated our love. When it was over, we lay quite still in the dark. Neither of us spoke. I could hear her breathing. Then she started to cry. "What's the matter, Tony?" "I am different now. I am not girl anymore." "Are you sorry?" "No." With one act, everything was changed. We had made an invisible bond. Only time would test its strength. I lay watching her dress in the half-light. Every move was etched in my mind. I can still see it quite clearly. I'm loving this like almost blue silver at the front of my beginnings of my hair. Oh, there you are. About time you sang to me, you mean little birdie. I've missed you and your beautiful singing. Here comes an Indian myna bird. Do you want to see what they're doing? Can you see it? Here he is. Flew away, but the thought was there, people of Earth, singing for his supper. up there fighting with the Indian myna birds. He really is a beautiful singer. Not bad. Magic happens at Sacred Space. I told you, didn't I? You didn't believe me. But it really does. All right, my beautiful boy. All right. Only time would test its strength, their invisible bond. I lay watching her dress in the half light. Every move was etched in my mind. I can still see it quite clearly. Next morning, when we met at breakfast, everything seemed different, yet it was only us. We seemed speechless, but our hearts beat faster. It was as though we were caught in an invisible net, each a prisoner of the other. Primitive emotions held us in their timeless grasp. That afternoon, the trio met in Hall's room for a practice of some new numbers. "You're bloody quiet these days," he says. "I'm in love, Bill, that's why." "Love me ass. All you want is a good shag and you'll be right as rain." "I'll bear that in mind." "Are you thinking of marrying this bird?" It crossed my mind and body. "Yes." "You'll see, she'll be fat as a pig at 40. "Don't listen to him," says Mulgrew. "He should talk with all those old boilers he goes out with." "They're not old boilers," says Hall. "They are mature, experienced women who know all the tricks of love." "Tricks," guffaws Mulgrew, "like cracking walnuts in the cheeks of their arse." The session over, I rose to leave the room. "You'll see," says Hall, who was now playing the Trout Quintet. "At 40, you'll be able to roll her home." I am riding home asking my folks for more razor blades and pile ointment, at the same time telling them that I am considering marrying Tony. My mother's reply is full of advice. I mustn't marry till I have a decent job and have settled down, whatever that means. Excuse me. Two can't live as cheaply as one. My £90 savings won't go far. I don't know though. It's got as far as the post office in Lewisham. My mother should talk. In the days of the British Raj, her father was dead set against her marrying my father. He chased my father through the Pune cantonments on a bicycle, my father escaping in a Tonga. Like all long-running shows, we are getting sloppy again. Lieutenant Priest assembles us all in the lounge. "Look," he says, It's getting to be like a private joke. It may be funny to us, but not the audience. We're going to have a full dress rehearsal tomorrow morning. He is right, of course. We are all taking liberties. For instance, when Ricky Trowler is singing Let the Rest of the World Go By, he is barracked from the wings with raspberries and shouts of "Drink up!" In the Close the Shutters, Willie's Dead number, numerous ping-pong balls are bounced on the stage from each side. I think it's funny. Priest doesn't. Bill Hall plays disturbing obligatos behind the curtain during the singer's spot, causing them to corpse. It's a night with a hunter's moon. After dinner, Tony and I go for a stroll down by the Mur. How did it get that name? We talked. The scenery drifted past unnoticed. We were now willing prisoners of each other. It had taken us by surprise. We were still in a state of amazement. Everything came through a rainbow-filtered haze. Tony was so childlike, I had a burning desire to look after her, to protect her. From what? God knows. Elephants. This is like a storybook, she said. We make it up as we go along. Yes, one day the show would stop, but we would go on forever. This is how the story would go. The Bill Hall trio would go back to the UK and become rich, and then I would send for Tony. I would welcome her to England with a white Rolls Royce, a glass of champagne, and a complete explanation as to why the river was called the Mur. We are finished in Graz, and now to the dream city of Vienna sausage. Call, call Vienna mine, sing night and day with your song divine. The Mirror Running, 1987. The Garden Fairy, my boyhood dog, Tony. The Garden Fairy, a true story. I saw a little girl. She was watching her father. He was taking rocks from the garden and dumping them in the river. Her mother called, "What was Daddy doing?" "He's trying to make the garden lighter." My boyhood dog. Boxer, my boxer, or where do you lie? Somewhere under a Puna sky. Ah, my canine, total joy you were to me. When as a boy we coursed the wind and ran the while, no end in sight, mile after mile. I was to you and you to me, locked in a bond eternally. They never told me when you died, to spare me pain in case I cried. So then to those adult fears denied you then my childhood tears. 1st of April, 1985. My beautiful boy is buried over there, near the fairy corner of the garden, guarded and protected by the fairies. Well, little Kermie and Bo. Tony. We carved our hearts on a tree in Graz and the hands of the clock stood still. Down a timeless lane I can feel again that distant winter chill. By the Wörthersee, when you came to me, the wine of life was flowing. But night and day, time runs away, and we know not where it's going. As we must, time turns to dust, like the long lost day together. On our wings of love flew a dying dove to leave us wondering whether that Capri day at our feet there lay, the time-drenched Faraglioni. But the road we ascended had finally ended. Addio, amore, Tony. Fleas, Knees and Hidden Elephants, 1995. Knees, which is a song, but I don't know the tune, so I'll just read it to you, people of Earth. Not like I can sing in tune at the best of times anyway, although occasionally I try, but oh dear goddess. Anyway, knees. You've got to have knees. You've got to have knees. They're the things that take stock when you sneeze. You've got to have knees. You've got to have knees. They only come in twos, but never threes. You've got to have knees. You've got to have knees. In the winter, fill them up with antifreeze. You've got to have knees. You've got to have knees. Famous for having them are bees. Yes, Ken. Don't believe birdies have knees. I guess you kind of do in a backwards fashion. You've got to have knees. You've got to have knees. If you want to see mine, say please. You've got to have knees. You've got to have knees. They help you run away from falling trees. Knees, wonderful knees. And thus concludes today's offerings. That's the end of chapter 1. I shall be back sometime soon in the space-time continuum with chapter 2, which I will very likely break up because it's also an exceedingly long chapter, like that long. Exactly how long? We won't go by girth, we will go by page count. Page 53 to page 111. Well, trying to work it out. 68 pages. So anyway, there you go. I think it's 68. 5 and 6 is 11, and 3 and 8. Maybe 58 pages. Well anyway, somewhat like that. I was never good at mathematics either. Do you know who I could have been were I good at mathematics and singing? Why, I would have been dangerous, darlings. Well, anyway, on that note, I bid you adieu. It's a beautiful day in the garden, but I'm starting to feel a slight chill drawing down. What is the time? I don't know. What time did we start? Almost 1 o'clock. Well, I might let the birdies stay up for a bit longer while it's so nice, because I've got to make the most of the sunshine while it's happening, and they don't get to go out in the garden very often now that it's been winter, so they're really enjoying themselves. Really enjoying themselves, aren't you, Kermie and Bo? Yes, Kermie. We had a little soiree from the little butcher bird, but he's gone off on his merry way. Didn't have to feed him meat to get the singing out of him either. Very nice. Very lovely day. You're chewing your perch, little boy. Oh my goodness. Anarchy and chaos. Well, anyway, on that note, have a wonderful afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. Bye for now.